Hi friends, so welcome to QX Tutorials. This is Mahesh. So in this video, we'll discuss about the transient access modifier in Java. So up to now, we covered different access modifiers. So we'll see the list. What are the access modifiers we covered up to now? So we discussed this public, private, protected, default, static, abstract, final, native, and synchronized. So we discussed up to now the synchronized access modifier we discussed. Okay. So in this video, we'll discuss about what the transient access modifier we'll discuss. So if you see here, the transient access modifier is applicable only for the variable. So we cannot apply this transient for the class or inner class method or for constructor interface we cannot apply. We can apply this transient only for the variable. Okay, so first we'll list out the points, what is transient, okay, what is its syntax and all the statements. Then after that we'll see a sample to understand the transient access modifier. Okay, so it is one of the access modifier. So this is also one of the important interview question. The interviewers will ask a question, what is transient? Okay, it is one of the access modifier in Java. It is one of the access modifier in Java. So which is applicable for variable. So we cannot apply for class or other method. We cannot apply. It's applicable only for the variable. Okay. Transient is applicable only for the variable. Fine. What is the need of applying the transient for the variable? When we will get a requirement of applying the transient access modifier for a variable? So if the variable is applied with the transient, right? The variable is applied with transient, that variable will not participate in serialization. Okay, so if any variable is applied with the transient access modifier, that variable will not participate in serialization. So here we have a dependency to understand what is serialization, because if you know the serialization concept, then only you can understand the transient. Okay, so that's why we will jump to serialization concept. But before that, let's see what is the syntax of applying the transient. Okay, so transient, it's applicable only for the variables, right? So you can specify the data type, like whether it's int, float, or boolean, or the object type. Okay, so then you can specify the variable name. So this is the syntax of applying the transient. It's applicable only for the variable. So before the variable declaration data type, so before the data type, we'll specify what the transient keyword we use. Okay, so I told, right, to understand this transient, first you need to understand the serialization concept. Okay, so the serialization concept actually comes in the java.io package. In the coming videos, I'll explain you this java.io package. At that time, I'll give you more clarity on this serialization and deserialization concept. As of now, just I'll try to explain. So how to perform serialization and how to perform the deserialization. Okay. What is serialization? So what is in the serialization is writing the object data into an output format. An output format is called as serialization. Okay, this is a definition for serialization. Writing the object data into an output format is called as serialization. Here, the output format means it can be a file, it can be a pipe, or it can be an array. Okay, so or it can be a network. Like that, we have different output formats. Okay, we can write the data into this output format. We can write. So writing the data into an output format is called as what? The serialization. If you are writing the object data into output format is called as serialization. So here I cannot explain why we need to write the object data into an output format. I told, right, just here briefly I'll explain the serialization and deserialization. When you're discussing about the java.io package, so there I'll cover the in-depth explanation of what is serialization and deserialization. Okay, so especially why we need to write this object data into an output format is when you're developing a distributed applications. When you have a requirement of sending one object from one JVM to another JVM, at that time we'll write the object data into an output format and we'll send it through network. Okay, like I told you, I'll explain more in the java.io package. So as of now, remember what is serialization means. Writing the data, object data into an output format is called as serialization. So uh, which class data you want to serialize, which class data you want to serialize, which class data you want to serialize, that class has to provide an implementation for serializable interface, serializable marker interface. So what is marker interface? I already explained in the previous videos, just so you can listen that once. What is marker interface? An interface without any abstract functions is called as marker interface. Okay, so I mean, which class data you want to write into an output format or serialize, that class has to provide an implementation for the serializable marker interface. Okay, next, where is this serializable marker interface is available is in java.io package. If you want, you can see java.io.serializable, and you can see public interface java.io.serializable, and you can see it doesn't contain any methods, any abstract methods, default methods or static methods. It's empty. So this kind of interfaces we'll call it as a marker interfaces. Next, java.io.object output stream class, object output stream class is used to perform serialization. We need to write the object data into an output format. So which class will help us to write this object data into an output format is object output stream is a class. Okay, so see that method java.io.object output stream. Okay, so you can see we have a method called write object is a method. We have a method called what? Write object is a method. By using this write object method, we can perform this serialization. We can write that object data into an output format. Okay, so I'll explain about these methods when you're discussing the java.io package. Okay, so as of now, remember which method will help us to perform this serialization. Java.output stream class is used to perform write object method. If you want, you can specify. You can give the object as an input. Output stream class, write object method is used to perform the serialization. Same like serialization, we have a concept called deserialization also. Okay, so what is meant by deserialization is the reverse to serialization. Creating an object from output format is called as deserialization. Okay, meaning it's reverse to the serialization. Creating an object from output format is called as what? The deserialization. So which class will help us to perform this deserialization is java.io.object input stream. Object input stream class is used to perform object input stream class, and we have a method called read object method. We have a method called what? The read object method is used to perform deserialization. Okay, so this is about serialization and the deserialization. So now theoretically we understand what is meant by transient. It's one of the access modifier is applicable only for the variable. So what is a benefit you will get? What is the purpose of creating a variable with transient is If you don't want to participate any variable in the serialization process, that particular variable will declare with the transient access modifier. So I'm repeating 2 or 3 times. Just this is for to remember, because if you listen 2 3 times, if you listen, so that will store directly in the brain. You don't need to uh, you know write somewhere, or you know to recall it again. So that's the purpose I'm repeating 2 3 times. Otherwise I can make it video very short. Only one time uh, I can tell these statements, but I don't want to do that. So that's why I'm repeating 2 or 3 times. Okay. So serialization is writing the object data into an output format is called as serialization. And for this serialization, which class will help is object output string and write object method, and make sure which class object you want to write into an output format or serialization. That class has to provide the implementation for the serialization interface. Okay. So now practically we'll see an example to understand this transient serialization and the deserialization. So I'm creating one class I'm creating called employee. Okay, I created a class called what? Employee is a class name I specified. In this employee class, I'm creating some variables. Okay, so for example, I'm creating a variable called employee ID, an employee name, what is employee gender, what is employee designation, and what is employee salary. Okay, so we created a normal data class we created just to hold some data in this class. Employee is the class name, employee ID, name, gender, designation, and salary. Let's save it. Save the class name, but before this, I'll remove these existing classes which we don't require. Let's keep employee.java. Okay, we created a class called employee.java. Okay, next, what I'm doing is I'm creating another class I'm creating just to test this transient. So I'm creating a class name called transient test. I want to run this program, so we need the main method, public static void main. Okay. Test.java. Okay, so in this transient test class, what I want to do is I want to write this. I want to create an object for this employee, and I want to write this object into an output format. So for easy explanation here, I'm taking a file. So it will be visible if you write in network and all. It's complex to explain, as well as we don't have that any service to write the data into network also. That's why I'm taking here a file. I will write this object data into a file. I will write. So, but before going to write that, first what you will do is create an employee object first, is equals to new employee. Okay, but what I want to do is I want to initialize these variables. These are called as instance variables. Okay, so after creating the object, we can initialize, like we can write e dot, what's the variables we created, employee ID, even 1 2 3 4, e dot, what is employee name, e dot, what is the designation, like I'm giving something like program analyst I given. Okay, so e dot employee ID, name, gender, designation, and salary. Okay, for example, I given 50,000 is the salary. Okay, let's save it. Okay, so we created a test class. So we created one transient test class just to run this program, and in the main method we created an employee object we created. So now this employee object I want to write into a file format we want to write. So I mean, as of now I'm not still we have not written any logic related to serialization and transient. Just a general class I created, a data class I created, and in the main method I am initializing that employee object and data initialized, that's it. Now we'll try to write this object data into an output format. Okay, so the logic which I'm going to write will give an exception. That's why I'm putting the logic in the try catch. So in the coming class I'll explain more about this try catch block and how to handle exceptions and all. Okay, so inside this try catch I'm writing some logic. I already told you here to write the object data into an output format we use the serialization concept, and we are going to use a class called object output stream class. So here we need the class, but that class is not exist in the default package. So not in the java.lang package. So this class is exist in a different package. Up to now, whatever we used, the examples. So mostly the classes are from java.lang package. So we don't have a requirement of importing the statements. So now we are using a class from the different package. So we need to import that class. So write the import statement, import java.io. So we need a class called object output stream. Object output stream. Save. So inside this try catch block, I want to initialize this. So create the object for the object output stream is equals to new object output stream. But for this object output stream, what we need to do is we need to specify the file output stream object we need to pass. So if you see the the information or description about this object output stream class, java.io.object output stream. See, to create the object for this object output stream class, if you want to create an object for this object output stream class, okay, we had to specify the output stream object we need to specify here. So what is the output stream here? Where you want to write, whether you want to write a pipe or network or array or file. So you need to specify that output stream object you need to specify. So like I told you, I want to write this object data into a file format I want to write. So first what you need to do is you need to create the file output stream object you need to create. File output stream is equals to new file output stream. Okay, so we need to import another class, we need to import java.io.file output stream. But for the file output stream, you need to give some input parameters. So let's see here, java.p java.io.file output stream. So this file output stream class is used to write the data into a file. But to create an object for this file output stream, if you see the constructors here, there are 5 constructors. To create an object for this file output stream, either you need to specify the path and some boolean property and the file object. So these are the 5 possible chances to create an object for this file output stream. So I'm taking the first constructor, which you need to pass the file name, and if you want to store the file in a specific path, you can mention the path also, you can mention. So this particular statement is giving a file not found exception. So but we written already the try catch block, so we specified a parent class name which will handle all the child exceptions. So I'm specifying here what is a file name. I want to create a file with the name employee.txt. I want to create a file with the name called what? Employee.txt file I want to create. So it's going to create a file with the name employee.txt. So this file output stream object we need to give as an input parameter to the object output stream. Done. Then after that, which object you want to write into an object? See why we created this object output stream? So to perform the serialization, right? After you create object for output stream, use a method called write object is a method. That's what I mentioned in the note also. Write object and give this object as an input. which object you want to write into an output stream. So give that object as an input. So object output stream dot use a method write object is a method and pass this employee object as an input. So what will happen is whenever you call object output stream dot write object, so this particular employee object information will write into this text file. So what is the text file? Of course, object output stream, we are passing the file output stream object we are passing. So obviously ultimately the data is going to write in this employee.txt file, the data will write. Okay, and once your task is done, you need to close this object output stream dot close. So once your output operations are completed, you need to close that connections we need to close. Okay, let's save it. Okay, so I've saved the files. Now let's compile our program. Javac trans_test.java. Maybe we are already using this variable we specified for employee object. Just I'll change this name. Because we cannot create two variables with the same name, right? Javac trans_test.java. I forgot to replace here. So Java trans_test. Okay, let's see what will happen. So as per my expectation, so it will give an error. See, what is the error we got here? java.io.not serializable exception, right? java.io.not serializable exception we got. So why we got this exception is, boss, you are performing employee object, you are performing the serialization, meaning you are trying to write this employee object data into an output format. But if you want to perform the serialization, if you see the first statement what we written, the second statement, which class data you want to serialize, that class has to provide an implementation for the java.io.serializable marker interface. So then only that object will perform in the serialization, otherwise the object will not serialize. So here what we need to do is, so this employee object, right, implements, what is the interface name? Serializable. But first what we need to do is, you need to import that. You need to import that serializable interface. You need to import java.io.serializable interface. You need to import. Okay, so first write the import statement, then implements serializable interface. Now let's compile this class. Serializable. Java.io. Okay, Java trans_test. Of course, we have not got any output here because we are not printing any statements. Okay, we are not printing any statements, but what will happen is whenever you run this program, as per our code, it's going to create one file, employee.txt file will create. Let's see whether the file is created or not. So the location where you saved these Java files, okay. So go to that location, Java examples, and you can see the file is created with the name called employee.txt. Employee.txt. Let's try to open it. If you try to open, nothing, it doesn't contain any information, right? Of course, we cannot understand this because this is not our understandable format. So who will understand this one is the JVM will understand this. We cannot understand this file. Who will understand this file is the JVM will understand, because serializable means it is written in a JVM understandable format, not in a human understandable format, right? So a file is created, so which means the data is written into the file. So we are done the serialization. Up to now, the serialization process is completed. Okay, so if you want, what I'll do is here I'll write one system.out.println. Serialization process is completed. Okay, I'm writing this. This is an output statement I'm writing. So after performing the serialization, then what I want to do is I want to perform a deserialization. Okay, same. I'm putting another try catch block. So before going to start the deserialization process, serialization process. Okay, so deserialization process is started and deserialization process is completed. Okay, so here to perform the deserialization, which classes we are going to use? The file input stream class we use, and object input stream classes we use. So we'll import the two classes we'll import here. Import java.io.object input stream java.io. To read the data from a file, we use file input stream classes. So here to perform the deserialization, which classes we need to use is, so instead of object output stream, to perform deserialization, we use object input stream. So replace that object input stream output stream with input stream. But object input stream, which will take as input is the source. I mean, what is a source? Where the object is stored, whether it's in file or it is in network or in a pipe. If it is in a file, so then we need to specify the file name and the file path where the file is available. So to read the data from a file, we use the file input stream class. Here the object data is going to write into a file. Next, from the file, we are creating the object from a file. Here we are performing the deserialization. I'm changing the variable names here. File input stream and object input stream. Okay. And here instead of write object, we need to use a read object. Okay. We'll see that. So use the object input stream and specify the source where the object is stored. Then after that, by using the read object method, that's what I mentioned here. By using the read object method, we can create an object we can create. So which object we stored? Which object we stored in the file is employee object. That's why I'm taking the same variable. Then after that, use this object input stream dot specify the read object method. That's it. So by using this read object method, it's going to reconstruct. The object will be construct from the output format what we specified. Okay. So if you want, what we'll do is we'll print that employee information. Will print system.out.println. What is employee ID? from the object dot name. Sorry. Okay, so from the output format, we constructed the object we constructed, and we are printing the data from that object. And once your read operation is done, so let's close the connections. Object output string and file input string connections will close. Okay, but here we'll get one exception we'll get. So let's you also understand what is that exception. I'm giving here E1 because we already used the E variable here, name. So let's compile. I told right, we'll get an exception we'll get. Okay, so what is the exception we got here? See, object cannot be converted to employee object. Basically, what will happen is java p java.io. Let's see the description of this object input stream class. Java.io.object input stream. So if you see the read object method, to perform the deserialization, we are using a method called read object. Where is it? So we are using this read object method to perform the deserialization. But what is the return type of this read object method? See, understand what is the return type of the read object method? The return type of read object method is object is a return type. So return type is object is a return type. But here what we are doing is directly we are storing that into employee. So meaning parent it's expecting the child because every class in Java is a child of object. But what we are getting is we are getting the parent class object we are getting. So we need to convert the parent class. We need to downcast into child. So we have a concept called downcasting. So let's convert this object into employee type. So this upcasting and downcasting concepts I explained in the previous sessions in the inheritance concept. So let's refer the video if you are not aware of this upcasting and downcasting. So we are doing the downcasting here, converting the parent class object into a child class, right? So let's say Java trans test. So you can see here serialization process is completed, meaning the object data is written into a file. Then after that, the deserialization process is started. So from the output format, we constructed the object. From the object, we are printing this data: employee ID, name, designation, gender, and salary. And deserialization process is completed. So this is what the serialization and deserialization. Writing the object data into an output format is serialization, and creating an object from output format is called as deserialization. So we got the clarity on these two topics. Now let's understand our actual discussion. Our actual topic is our transient access modifier. So what is the purpose of this transient access modifier is, if you don't want to participate any variable in the serialization process, that particular variable we will apply with transient. For example, here some secured information is there which I don't want to participate this data in the serialization. Like for example, salary. See, earlier if you see the output, we got the salary, we got, right? We got the salary 50,000, we got the output. Okay. Now what I'm doing is I'm making this salary variable as a transient. Okay. I'm making this salary variable as a transient. Save it. Save it. Let's compile. Java C trans_test.java. Java trans_test. You can see the serialization process is completed, meaning the object data is written into a file. Then after that, the deserialization process is started. But you can see that salary value we got 0.0 we got. But this is not the data we return. Of course, it took the default value. Okay, but this is not the data we stored in the salary. What is the data we stored in the salary? We stored 50,000 we stored, but we got 0. We got the default value we got. So which means that the salary variable is not participated in the serialization. Like I'll tell another example. Like designation is also, I don't want to participate in serialization. Let's make designation also with the transient. Save it. Let's compile and run this again. Now you can see designation null. But earlier if you see the designation we got programmer analyst. But now we got the designation as null. Why we got designation as null? It reading the default value because this particular variable is not performed in serialization. The object doesn't contain the value of designation. That's why it's returning the default value as null. So this is what the transient access modifier. So if you don't want to participate any variable in serialization process, that particular variable will apply with transient. So hope you understand what is transient access modifier, serialization and deserialization. And I told you, like here, just I given a brief idea about this serialization and deserialization when you're discussing about the java.io package. So at that time, I'll give more in-depth explanation about these two concepts. Okay. So thanks for watching the video. Please subscribe to my channel if you really like the video and if you want to understand more technology, okay, in the coming videos. So please subscribe. And so one request, because why I'm asking to subscribe is for technical videos, for information videos, obviously the views and subscriptions will be very less. It's not for useless videos like travel videos or cooking videos, many other videos you will get many views and many subscribers. So whatever the few people who are watching my videos, I need their support, so their subscription, so which will give an encouragement for me to create more and more videos like this. Okay, so thanks for watching the video again. So thank you.